Right now, Mexico is going through one of the biggest economic transformations in its modern history. Factories are being built at record pace. Billions of dollars in foreign investment are flowing into the country, and entire industries are quietly relocating, almost in real time. In cities like Monterrey, Tijuana, and Querétaro, industrial parks are filling up faster than they can be built. Vacancy rates in some regions have dropped below 2%. And for the first time in decades, Mexico is not just a low-cost manufacturing option. It's becoming a strategic powerhouse in the global economy. But to understand why this is happening, you have to zoom out and look at what's changing globally. For decades, global manufacturing revolved around one country, China. At its peak, China produced nearly 30% of the world's manufacturing output, more than the next several countries combined. Its economy reached over $17 trillion, built on exports, industrial scale, and deeply integrated supply chains. Entire industries became dependent on China. From electronics to automotive to machinery, everything pointed back to Chinese factories. But over the last decade, that model has started to change. Not collapse, but shift. And that shift is opening the door for countries positioned differently. Countries like Mexico. This isn't just about companies leaving China. It's about why they're choosing Mexico specifically. The first reason is geography. Mexico shares over 2,000 miles of border with the United States, the largest consumer market in the world. That means that shipping times drop from 30 to 40 days from Asia to 1 to 3 days by truck or rail. That's not just faster, it completely changes how companies operate. Instead of forecasting demand months in advance, they can respond in real time. The second reason is trade advantages. Under the USMCA, goods manufactured in Mexico can enter the US tariff-free. Compare that to Chinese goods, which can face tariffs of 25% or more in some industries. That's a massive structural advantage. The third reason is total cost, not just labor. While wages in Mexico are competitive, the real savings come from lower logistic costs, reduced inventory needs, faster turnaround times. And when you combine all of that, Mexico often becomes cheaper overall than manufacturing overseas. This is where the story becomes very real. In northern Mexico, especially in Monterrey and along the border, industrial development is accelerating rapidly. Warehouse and manufacturing space is in such high demand that vacancy rates in key regions have dropped below 2 to 3%. Developers are racing to build new industrial parks, but in many cases, they're being pre-leased before they're even completed. Foreign direct investment in Mexico has surged, reaching tens of billions of dollars annually. Major global companies are expanding operations, such as Tesla building a massive factory in Nuevo León, BMW continues expanding in San Luis Potosí, Samsung and Foxconn are scaling production. Even companies from China are investing in Mexico, using it as a gateway to the North American market. And this is showing up in the data. Mexico has now become the largest trading partner of the United States, with trade exceeding $800 billion annually. The driving force behind all of this is something called nearshoring. It means supply chains are no longer global by default. They're becoming regional. Instead of producing everything in Asia, companies are building supply chains closer to their customers. For North America, that means Mexico. And this changes how businesses operate. Inventory levels drop because goods move faster. Production becomes more flexible. Companies can customize products for local markets. And more importantly, risk is reduced. COVID exposed how fragile long-distance supply chains really were. Nearshoring is the response to that. And Mexico is the biggest beneficiary. One of the most important and least talked about factors in Mexico's rise is its demographics. Mexico's median age is around 29 years old. In China, it's over 40 years old and rising. That gap has long-term consequences. China's workforce is shrinking. Mexico's workforce is still growing. Over the next 2 decades, Mexico will continue adding workers to its economy, while China faces increasing labor shortages and rising costs. This gives Mexico a generational advantage in manufacturing, not just today, but for the next 20 to 30 years. If Mexico executes correctly, it has a real path to becoming one of the most important manufacturing economies in the world. Companies are no longer relying on a single country. Mexico is becoming a core part of a balanced global system. But this growth is not guaranteed. Mexico faces real challenges that could slow this momentum. Energy is one of the biggest. Manufacturing requires reliable, large-scale electricity. And in some regions, capacity is already being tested. Infrastructure is another. While improving, Mexico still lags behind China in ports, rail systems, logistic networks. Security and regulatory stability also play a role in investment decisions. And finally, skill development. Mexico is strong in assembly and mid-level manufacturing, but to move up the value chain, it will need to expand advanced manufacturing capabilities. It's important to understand that this isn't about replacing China. China remains a manufacturing giant, especially in high-tech and advanced production. What's happening instead is a rebalancing. China continues to lead globally, but Mexico is emerging as a manufacturing center of North America. And in some industries, that shift is already well underway. Over the next 5 years, Mexico will continue to see rapid growth in manufacturing and nearshoring. Industrial regions will expand. Foreign investment will increase. Over the next 10 years, Mexico could solidify its position as the dominant manufacturing hub for North America. Higher value industries will scale. Infrastructure will become a critical focus. Over the next 20 years, Mexico has the potential to become one of the most strategically important economies in the world. If it can sustain growth, invest in infrastructure, and maintain stability. What we're seeing right now is not just an economic trend. It's a structural shift, a reorganization of how global manufacturing works. And Mexico is at the center of it. For decades, it was seen as a low-cost alternative. But today, it's becoming something different, a strategic hub and manufacturing powerhouse, and potentially one of the most important economies of the future. The real question isn't whether Mexico is rising, it's how far this transformation goes, and whether Mexico can fully capitalize on the opportunity in front of it. And this is Mexico Insider. Thanks for watching.